Hello NCAC sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in the NCAC. I'm your host, Brett Billhart. On this week's show, we'll celebrate the achievements of those spring sports student athletes who were named NCAC Athletes of the Week in their respective sports for the week ending on Sunday, March the 23rd. We'll open this week's show outside as the 2014 NCAC outdoor track and field season kicked off in earnest last weekend. Let's first recognize the NCAC Weekly Award winners for men's outdoor track and field. The award for distance and middle distance events went to Kenyon senior Sam Lagasse after he posted a record-setting performance in the 5,000-meter run at the Charlotte 49er Classic. Lagasse, a native of Woodbridge, Connecticut, and a graduate of Westville High School, finished 14th out of 94 runners in the race with a time of 14:53.16. That time smashed the previous KC record of 15:00.47 set by Caleb Kaiserling in 2009. The weekly award for sprint and hurdle events was distributed to Ohio Wesleyan freshman Colin McShane, who also shined at the Charlotte 49er Classic. McShane, who hails from Columbus, Ohio, continued his impressive rookie campaign by turning in a time of 10.89 seconds in the 100-meter dash. And the final men's award for field events also went to an OWU student athlete for his performance in North Carolina, as freshman Alex Presley took home the honor after posting 2 top 10 finishes at the 49er Classic. Presley, a native of Zanesville, Ohio, and a graduate of Maysville High School, finished 7th in the shot put with a throw of 50 feet 2 inches, and also placed 8th in the discus with a heave of 152 feet 1 inch. And the first Women's Weekly Award for distance and middle distance events went to Kenyon senior Jenna Willett, who posted a top 5 finish in the 5,000-meter run at the Charlotte 49er Classic. Willett, a resident of Kensington, Maryland, finished 4th out of 80 runners in the event with a time of 17:22.85. The weekly award for field events was given to Ohio Wesleyan senior Sarah Bechtel, who posted one of the Battling Bishops' 2 top 10 finishes at the Charlotte 49er Classic. Bechtel, a resident of Bellefontaine, Ohio, cleared 11 feet 7 3/4 inches in the pole vault to finish 10th overall in the event. The final women's award for sprint and hurdle events went to Worcester sophomore Hillary Cody, who kicked off her outdoor season on March 15th at the Coastal Carolina Invitational with a pair of 4th place finishes. Cody, a resident of Annapolis, Royal Nova Scotia, and a graduate of Choate Rosemary Hall in Connecticut, finished 4th in the open 100-meter hurdles with a time of 16.06 seconds, and also placed 4th in the seeded 400-meter hurdles with a time of 1:03.85. And nearly every NCAC track and field squad will be in action this weekend, led by Worcester hosting Kenyon and a grouping of non-conference opponents for its annual Worcester Invitational on Saturday, March 29th. And let's now shift our attention over to the Lynx, where a pair of Denison student athletes garnered NCAC Weekly Awards for their performances at separate Myrtle Beach shootout events last week at the Barefoot Golf Resort. On the men's side, the award went to Denison senior Aaron Klimchuk, who helped guide the DU men's team to a 3rd-place finish at the men's Myrtle Beach shootout played on the resort's Dye Club course. Klimchuk, who resides in White Plains, New York, finished in a tie for 2nd in the individual standings after carding a 3-over-par 75. DU finished 3rd in the men's team standings with 318 strokes, while McDaniel and Rutgers Camden tied for the top position with 315 strokes each. And the weekly women's award went to DU senior Carly Schultz, who led the Big Red to the team title in the women's Myrtle Beach shootout played at the resort's Norman course. Schultz, who hails from Ann Arbor, Michigan, took home champion medalist honors at the event after firing a career-low round of 77 on the 5,817-yard par 72 course. Schultz's effort helped the Big Red win the team title over McDaniel by 33 strokes, as DU posted a 347 and McDaniel fired a 380. There is a full slate of NCAC golf action on the docket this week, led by Wabash taking on Rose-Hulman in the annual Giant Engineer Match Play Classic on Wednesday at the Hulman Links Golf Club in Terre Haute, Indiana. And shifting our attention over to the courts, we'll recognize a pair of Allegheny student-athletes who collectively swept the NCAC Weekly Awards in men's and women's tennis. The men's award went to Allegheny senior Pat Cole, who posted a combined record of 5-1 over the Gators' final 3 matches in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Cole, who resides in Livonia, Michigan, emerged unbeaten in singles play on the week to complement a 2-1 mark in doubles competition. With his perfect 3-0 record at number 1 singles, Cole has now tied the program's all-time record for singles victories in a career. The Gators closed out their spring break trip in Hilton Head last week with a 2-1 record after posting a 9-0 win over Ramapo and a 6-3 triumph over Carleton. And the weekly award in women's tennis was distributed to Allegheny sophomore Andrea Brush, who combined for a perfect 4-0 record to help lead the Gators to back-to-back wins over Ramapo 8-1 and St. Norbert 6-3 in action last week in Hilton Head. Brush, a native of Loveland, Colorado, and a graduate of Thompson Valley High School, picked up both her singles victories in the second flight and then teamed with classmate Sun Moo Koo for a 2-0 mark in the top doubles position. NCAC tennis squads will conclude their spring break portion of their schedules this week, as DePaul and Oberlin are both set to compete in Hilton Head, South Carolina. And from the courts to the diamond, let's now celebrate the achievements of the NCAC Player and Pitcher Weekly Award winners for both softball and baseball. First, for softball, the Player of the Week award went to Worcester freshman Georgia Hill, who played a pivotal role in leading the Fighting Scots to a 3-1 record on their final week of spring break action in Florida. Hill, a resident of Oakland, California, and a graduate of Piedmont High School, batted .545 over the 4-game stretch with 5 doubles, 1 homer, and 8 RBI. She doubled and homered in the Scots' 11-10 come-from-behind victory over Rutgers Newark on March 18th, and also added 2 doubles in an 8-0 victory over Nichols later the same afternoon. And in the pitching circle, Denison senior pitcher Becca Dyer garnered the weekly award after posting a 2-0 record with a minuscule 0.47 ERA on the Big Red spring break trip in Tucson, Arizona. Dyer, who hails from Shelby Township, Michigan, struck out 18 batters and held opposing hitters to a .211 batting average in 18 total innings of work in Arizona. In addition, after tossing a complete game shutout in the 8-0 win over Laverne on March 18th, Dyer is now the program's all-time leader in shutouts with 17. And with spring break trips all but wrapped up in NCAC softball, the league portion of the schedule opens this Saturday with 4 doubleheaders on the slate. Moving over to the diamond, the Player of the Week award went to Worcester senior Eddie Reese, who erupted at the plate last week to lead the Fighting Scots baseball team to a 4-1 record on their final week of spring break action in Florida. Reese, a native of Canfield, Ohio, and a graduate of Youngstown Cardinal Mooney High School, hit 10 of 22 at the plate with 2 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 14 RBI, and 7 runs scored. He drove in multiple runs in all 5 games and recorded his second 4-hit game of the season after going 4 for 6 at the plate with 3 RBI in a 21-10 win over Wisconsin Platteville on March 17th. And the weekly baseball pitching award was distributed to Oberlin senior Mike McDonald, who was dominant on the hill for the Yeomen in the first week of the season. McDonald, who resides in Weston, Connecticut, tossed a complete game 3-hitter with 7 strikeouts in a tough luck 1-0 loss against Ohio Northern on March 18th. He then struck out the side in a 7th inning of the Yeomen's 10-8 win over Wisconsin Superior on March 22nd in Tucson, Arizona to earn the save, and earned the win the very next day against Middlebury after pitching 5 scoreless innings in a 12-6 win. In 13 innings of work on the week, McDonald fanned 13 batters and allowed just one earned run for a slim 0.69 ERA. Following the Yeoman's return home from Arizona this week, the conference portion of the schedule begins this weekend with 4 divisional series on the schedule. And finally, we'll wrap up this week's show by honoring the NCAC Player of the Week award winners in men's and women's lacrosse. The women's award went to Allegheny Junior Attack Kelsey Rogers, who erupted for 15 points in a pair of wins over Chapman 13-12 and Pomona Pitzer 13-10 in Southern California last week. Rogers, a resident of Wolfboro, New Hampshire, opened the week with 6 goals and 1 assist against Chapman, and then added another 6 goals and 2 assists in the win over Pomona Pitzer. Following a non-conference slate that saw NCAC squads combine for a 30-11 record, the league portion of the women's lacrosse schedule is set to begin this Saturday with 4 games on the slate. And finally, the weekly award in men's lacrosse was awarded to Worcester Junior Attack Tom Harold, who played a key role in leading the Scots to a pair of wins last week over Trine 16-2 and Albion 7-6. Harold, a resident of Massillon, Ohio, and a graduate of Jackson High School, scored 5 goals and dished out 1 assist against Trine, and then broke a 5-5 tie in the fourth quarter against Albion with an unassisted goal to launch Worcester to the victory. At 7-0 on the year, the Fighting Scots are now off to the best start in the program's 47-year history. League play continues in NCAC men's lacrosse in the week ahead with 5 games on the docket, led by Denison traveling to Worcester on Wednesday night for a 7 p.m. contest. And fans, as always, for up-to-date news, stats, and standings from around the North Coast Athletic Conference, you can log on to our website at www.northcoast.org. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at NCAC, as well as like us on Facebook. And for the entire conference staff, I'm Brett Billhart, and thanks for watching.